Earlier this week, Diggs gifted us the Enventur inflatable travel crate, and oh my gosh, I was so excited. I'm a huge Diggs fangirl, so I was over the moon. And I cannot wait to get this travel crate in the car, but before we do that, I wanted to get Vigo used to the crate, so I started off by sprinkling some kibble into his crate. You can see he's trying to figure out how he can get it without going in. At this point, he was a little bit unsure of the crate. It's new for him. I totally get it. I'd probably feel the same way. Once he was in, he seemed super comfortable, but I had an idea to get some higher value treats so I could give him the high value treats when he's in the crate and then his kibble, which is lower value when he's out of the crate. You can see there I'm trying to move the flap at the top, which will eventually need to close, and when I moved that, he came out totally fine. His pace is the pace. I also wanted him to get used to the idea of the noises in the crate. The crate definitely, when you're in it, has kind of a different perspective of sound. I don't know if that makes sense. It kind of feels like you're in a balloon maybe, which kind of makes sense because it's inflatable and yeah. So I'd call him into the crate, let him get in on his own, try and reward him, touch the side, and he would come out. Again, I would let him come out totally fine, but then I'd try and call him back in. I then thought, okay, let me get some toys out. Maybe he will find the toy to be higher value. So I'd get him in the crate and then call him out to play. Then I'd try and call him back in the crate, the idea being that when he got into the crate, we would then play. So I'm basically trying to build value for the crate. He was a little unsure, so again, his pace is the pace. I took it even slower. I got his kibble, I popped it into the crate, let him get in and eat it in there, and then went back to giving him some high-value treats just for hanging out in there. Once he seemed comfortable, I started practicing touching the flap more. I lifted it up, gave him a treat. I was trying to go extremely slow. Again, he came out totally fine. He can trust me, I can trust him, and if he's not comfortable, we're gonna go at his own pace. I tried to get him back in the crate, but at this point, he seemed kind of over it. So at this point, I thought, let's wrap up for the day and revisit it tomorrow when we are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Funnily enough, that night, I didn't get this on camera, but he sniffed the crate, and when I went to reward him just for sniffing the crate, he jumped in and waited for treats. So the next day, I think it made it much easier for me to practice with him jumping in, me touching the flap. I think maybe he just needed a moment to process it. But here I was trying to move really slowly, again, trying to read his vibe around how he was feeling about the crate. I closed the flap, rewarded him through the side, zipped the flap slightly, because also that zipping noise is probably new for him too. I just want him to feel fully comfortable before I put this crate in the car. So I called him out again. Once he was out, I called him back in. And by this point, he seemed extremely comfortable with the crate. He seemed like he was up to speed with it. So I tried to fully close the crate up, which was fantastic. We then played one of his favorite games, which is when I put him in his crate, hide some kibble somewhere, and then let him get it. He loves this game. Normally, we make it a little bit harder in terms of trying to hide the kibble. So at this point, I thought, okay, let me try and put the crate in a new position, a little bit more raised, kind of like what he might expect in a car. And let me tell you, Vigo aced it. He did such a good job. He got in no problem. He hopped in. He let me zip it up. And so now I feel relatively confident moving this to the car and trying to get him in the crate in the car. All in all, considering every single practice session we did, I think we spent between 60 to 90 minutes getting him more comfortable with the crate. And here's him just choosing to hang out in the crate. I didn't even cue this one up. That's how we've been doing it.